Well, good evening, happy Friday, wherever you are. Um, Let me start by saying, wow, it has been a heck of a week trying to get this recorded. My plan was to have it done over the weekend. Last weekend had all types of technical difficulties, and then my computer died all the way on Wednesday. So I'm back in a new system, got a blessing, and we'll go ahead and get this done. All right, I ended, I was in the middle of part two. So let me pick back up. And again, this comes with a trigger warning. It deals with sexual assault and mental illness. It's Tweenlet, The Journey to Reclaim My Value, written from my 12-year-old voice. All right. And I am Imani Williams, aka Urban Bush Sister. I am frightened of Daddy. My daddy, who left allowance with Mama after I refused his presents and monetary gifts that I looked at as bribes after discovering and asking him about an affair he'd had while married to Mama. The feelings were so confusing. Daddy was my heart, but I didn't understand anything that was going on with him, and I was starting to not understand what was going on with me. It was like sinking into quicksand and wanting to save everyone, but not even knowing how to save yourself. I'd never been scared of my daddy, who came bearing gifts every Valentine's Day, a card and chocolates for me and my sister, and a bigger box for Mama, even though they were not married anymore. The same daddy that gave bear hugs and could make my frown turn into a smile with his renditions of Tracks of My Tears and Hey Jude, no matter how old I got. Daddy, who took me to every daddy daughter dance the Bluebirds and Campfire Girls held. Daddy, who chaperoned a school field trip to Greenfield Village when I was in fifth grade, and I was so proud that day. I loved my daddy and decided to pay attention to see if I could figure out what made him sick. When daddy was manic, he would befriend just about anyone, inviting them home to talk. Mama served as interference, encouraging daddy to socialize away from the house or leaving with me and my sister in tow when things spiraled out of control. We would pack for the weekend or week and stay with close family friends while Mama sorted things out. Times away were indoor days, no playing outside where we could be spotted. We were gone for 2 weeks one summer, and our host kids felt so bad for us that they stayed inside too. Being uprooted is never a but it was a real part of my childhood. Daddy was well when his father, the perpetrator, died, and my parents felt I needed to make the trip to Tennessee to bury my grandfather. Arriving at his house in Tennessee with that peculiar smell that said he was going to bother and pester Chester the molester sickened me. I felt confused. Why did I need to be there? My cousins were there, my sister was there. I was the oldest grandchild and didn't feel really grand at all. In fact, I felt really small. Mama and Daddy should have let me decide if I wanted to go to his funeral. It made me feel unimportant. I began to feel really bad, like I didn't matter, or maybe if I didn't talk so much, I would be lovable enough so that this wouldn't have happened. If I were more lovable, more so than him, he would have gone straight to jail. As the station wagon that held my younger sister, four cousins, dad, my aunt, and uncle pulled into the driveway and under the familiar carport, I felt queasy. I saw the porch swing that shielded me from the sun on prior visits and wondered what would hold back the dis-ease that was growing in the pit of my stomach. Heading into the side door at 608 Shannon Avenue, I didn't participate in my cousins and sisters goofing around. They were glad that the 10-plus-hour journey had landed them at their destination. They were ready to stretch out and relax, even though the atmosphere was somber. I did senses were going into overload. As I entered the kitchen off the carport, I smelled him, although he had been in the hospital and not at the house lately. It was the memory of that smell that would sneak up on me if I didn't tune it out quickly, making me both sad and angry, even though he would be hundreds of miles away. I tried to find footing in something familiar besides that peculiar smell. Gazing around the kitchen, I saw the washer and dryer set on the left side of the room. This setup was certainly different than my home in Detroit, though not uncommon in southern homes that don't have basements. The house was very cozy, although the living room was not a place to play. The regular grandmotherly knickknacks placed here and there rested on hand-stitched doilies, a snow globe, a bowl of plastic fruit, and great-grandmother's footstools that she handcrafted and sold around Chattanooga. All had their rightful place. The family pictures on the walls were not many in number, but did include a picture of Dr. King and the standard Jesus portrait of that era. The place I was most comfortable was the guest room, where I slept in a big poster bed. The sheets were always crisp from drying in the hot Tennessee sun. The freshness was lovely. The white bedspread with the lumpy bumps felt good to snuggle under. This, of all places, was my safe space while visiting. The birds chirping always sounded so different in the trees and mountains of Chattanooga, Tennessee, than they did back in Michigan. The apple trees in Grandmommy's backyard were sure to supply the care package contents she would send to the troops back up north. Her stash included every apple hybrid known to man, apple butter, apple sauce, and whatever else you could get from a plentiful bounty of apples growing in your own backyard. Passing my grandparents' bedroom, I noticed but kind of shrugged off the twin beds. I couldn't remember a time when the room had held a single bed. Popping my gum, I thought it wasn't so strange, and that probably nobody wanted to sleep with that smell. I walked away from the doorway and went to find my cousins, or to sulk. Both worked equally well for me at this point. While in Chattanooga, I showed my natural black ass. I acted out. I didn't even feel like it was my doing. Something was controlling how I talked to people, and boy, was it nasty. I was angry and confused and couldn't figure out how to say that, so I acted like a fool. Before he died, Chester had given me 3 or 4 cups he had gotten while fighting in Korea during World War II. Little dainty teacups. One had a raised bubble, and when I poured liquid in, an Asian girl's face appeared at the bottom. Another was the bluest of blues and was swirled in a white, sort of like a blueberry pinwheel. These were given in departure after a visit and without much ceremony. Was it a coded message? My cousins and sister didn't get teacups, but then again, I was the chosen one. I pondered if it were some sort of an apology since he seemed proud of the teacups, or maybe that was my interpretation. But I feel like he wanted me to feel honored in some way. His eyes were what I remembered when I thought of the gift. They were empty. I didn't see my daddy anywhere in that lens. They shared the same names, they shared DNA and blood, but I really didn't even connect him with my daddy. It was less confusing that way. For years, the cups sat undisturbed on a bookshelf in the den until a house fire destroyed them Christmas Eve, my junior year of high school. By then, my innocence and thoughts of whatever the teacups were meant to symbolize had both been abandoned, recklessly so. He'd given me a gift as if that could replace what he'd taken so freely. My grounding was over with the trip to his funeral. No police, no jail, and no reassurance really that I wasn't bad, or at least not as bad as him. My family loved him, revered him even, and it tore me up. The air had been thick on the ride to the church. Again, I was trapped with family who believed in honoring the dead through stories of the deceased goodwill. It didn't sit well with me. I felt like jumping from the green station wagon and found little relief in the short seat that faced the rear of the car where I sat alone. I took in the sights as our flagged car I took in the sights as our flagged car followed the hearse holding his remains. The back window was only halfway down. The older cousin from Tennessee who was driving ignored my request for more air. I hated Tennessee. As the older cousin talked with his wife, who had a very long country name, they seemed to be saying something about Calvin's eldest. Well, that would be me. I didn't catch it all, just something about attitude and switches. I didn't know either of them for them to have much to say about me yet. Before the trip was over, they would have firsthand stories to share regarding my behavior. I read the obituary to keep from screaming in the middle of the sanctuary. It was crazy sitting there honoring and paying homage to a pervert that everyone loved. As I read the family tree on the obituary, my eyes caught hold of another uncle listed. Daddy only had one brother I knew of. What? So Chester had another family, or at least another son, and my family gained another point for keeping secrets. At one point in the 5 day burial ritual, Daddy pulled me to the side and made me look him in the eye. He was burying his father, and could I show some respect? I didn't care. I didn't want to be there, so I performed. I had flirted with the man that lived next door to my grandmother. This set Daddy off. The young man was at least 20 because he had a roommate and their parents didn't live there. I never I thought I was in love with him. I never thought I could harm him with my underage fast ass. Yes, I was becoming a fast girl. No one had ever told me that promiscuity can start by being inappropriately touched and fondled. I thought I was supposed to feel this way. I wasn't thinking anything bad, I was simply acting on emotion. I introduced myself and waited by the gate for hours for him to return from wherever. I'd pick apples off the tree in the backyard, sit in the swing under the carport with a book. I was waiting for him to return and show me some attention. I wanted to get his attention and an invite to his house. Neither happened. I'll stop there and I will come back tonight or tomorrow morning. Thank you. If you have any questions or comments on anything you've heard thus far between parts one and two, please drop them in the comments. Um, this is live, so I see one person. Are you still there? Thank you. All right. Well, this is what I do. This is part of my passion and my mission in life to make sure that people have information so that they know that they are not the only ones, so they know that they have a right um, not to be held in silence because families can do that to us sometimes. Um, I wonder, y'all mind if I share one more thing? Because it's just on my heart to do so. And we are, dealing with this COVID-19 and the pandemic and lockdown, and there are a lot of people tonight in unsafe situations. They are living with um, either a long-term abuser or somebody that just flipped the switch. And since this pandemic and all of this time that people are spending together, whether they want to or not, is wreaking havoc throughout households. And so there are a lot of women and children suffering right now. Um, I just finished reading about my grandfather and his outside child that I learned about when I was 12 or 13, and never ever heard this person mentioned before in my life to that point. And so that brings me to the fact that sometimes um, folks have other lives. Um, Whoever my grandfather was messing with lived right behind my grandmother's house. She could have, stood at her apple tree in her backyard and probably hit the woman's window. That's pretty close to home. Disrespectful. Pretty close to home. But a lot of people, that is their reality. They are dealing with someone who is dealing with someone else. And so if this person is used to not spending their weekends at home with their family, instead spending it with their other lover or whatever we want to call this person, because that person may not know that they're married, right? Whoever they're spending time with, um, if that person has children, it is possible that they put their foot down about something and say, "Not while this pandemic is going on. Not while we're under lockdown. You gotta stay at home. I'll see you when this is over." And now you have this person at home with his family, but he doesn't really want to be at home with his family. He wants to be across town with his lover, and he can't be, so he takes it out on his family, his wife, kids, the dog. He's mad, and just to all of that. So I just want to share a poem. I'm a Gemini. My birthday is Monday, so part of me wants to really get Tweenlet finished and enter my next cycle around the sun with this being done. And the other part is saying just move with spirit. And right now, I'm just being led to share this poem um, for anyone who is suffering, living with domestic violence, and for um, anyone who is a survivor of sexual abuse, who feels shunned for speaking out. I just want to remind you that you are beautiful and you are special, and um, you got to know your worth, even if they do or don't. This is titled "Your Truth Matters, Live to Love, Release the Rest," and it is from Poets and Allies for Resistance 2015 anthology. So I have a couple pieces in here. It's not just my book. There are 12 or 13 poets that have penned ink in here, and it's edited by Khadija Anderson, who is the um, founder of Poets and Allies for Resistance nonprofit organization in California. Your truth matters. Live to love, release the rest. Shh, they'll say to discourage you from speaking up. Stay silent and you'll be rewarded a half-assed welcome back into the family circle. They'll claim to love you. Maybe they do. It's hard to tell when the good things like love and truth are deeply hidden under narcissism and in the folds of falsehood meant to control. But if you speak, which you should, because you deserve to live and reclaim life, trust the universe to guide you. Set boundaries. Saying no works. Hell no, fuck no, 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 no. I won't respond to the family drum that beats irregularly with a random text, phone call, or email every 4 to 6 months. Apology still missing. It's not unwise, nor is it totally impossible to find the sincerity. But if you can't, no works when you need to maneuver a new world without those with whom you share blood. Stay on the path of safety and a sojourn towards inner peace. Forgiveness doesn't require meetups and shared holidays, but it is required for you to move forward. Forgive, but know your truth. Ignore the lies kept in rotation and stand on your truth. Live to love those who return it in kind. You deserve the love that doesn't gang up seeking to destroy who you are. Know your worth. Know you have the right not to remain silent. You can still find this on Amazon, I believe. Poets and Allies for Resistance. There's a whole um, by year list of anthologies by this great organization, nonprofit. All right, I'm going to end. Thank you. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. I will probably be back later tonight or tomorrow and try to get the next part of Tweenlet out. Thank you.